Hudson, Florida. George, Republican, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. Angelo, I'm so glad you're on. I admire your organization. So it's the king of liars. You do very well. I got one question for you. Would you be willing to go on and talk to Tucker Carlson? I'm sure his people are watching this, and they would immediately contact you to get him on that show. Would you be willing to do that?
Number one, Tucker wouldn't do it. And the only time Fox would ever have us on is pre-taped, just to point that out. I think that's an important indication of what their intentions are.
Why do you think that?
Because it means they'll lie. Or they wouldn't want to get the reality reflected back to them. That's one part of it. And I think that there's a real fear there. We're one of the few places out there that actually is able to hold Fox accountable. And if I was Fox, I understand why they're scared, because we're able to pack a pretty big punch. That's number one. Number two, no, I wouldn't. Not because I'm not scared. He can come to me. But the reason, and I probably still wouldn't, because Tucker is not just a misinformer. And the New York Times report confirmed this. Tucker Carlson is an active enabler of ethno-nationalism and white supremacy. The guy is mainlining.
You're talking about that Tuesday story on Tucker Carlson. I believe the headline was something, the heir to Trump.
Yes. They did an enormous amount of research to really quantify how deeply connected he is to real white supremacists. I know that word gets thrown around these days and people may be bristling, but I mean like actual white supremacist groups that are like embrace the term because that is what they believe. His connections to it, they quantified just how much of that content he is reflecting onto his programming and all of the relationships there. So, no, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to help Fox and I don't want to pretend that that's a legitimate conversation. Now, if Tucker would have renounced all the ethno-nationalism and changed his tune, I might consider it. But no, I think that no one should go on Fox News if they're a serious person. I think that Fox News is a partisan political operation and probably the single most destructive force in the country. And I don't think anyone should enable it or validate it. Not an advertiser, not a cable company, not anybody with any consideration for their reputation whatsoever. That applies to Democratic leaders, politicians, corporate leaders. I think anyone that goes on Fox News at this point is enabling true disinformation and extremism.